Thanks for joining me. I'm Coach Dave. I'm going to take you through 30 minutes of mobility exercises. It's a combination of stretch and mobility. So all you're going to need is yoga mat, space to move, yoga blocks if you've got them, but you don't need them. We're going to start right here on the floor in a cross-legged position. Your goal is to try to get that right ankle all the way up on top of that left thigh. We're going to take some deep, intentional breaths and start working on stretching out those hips. Okay? When you're breathing, I want you to breathe into the belly and then expand the rib cage and then let it out about twice as long as you breathe in. Your chest is nice and tall, back is nice and straight, making sure that you're feeling the stretch in the hips and the glutes. As you breathe out with each breath, we're going to try to drive that chest a little bit farther forward. Remember, we're not trying to droop the chest down. This isn't a spine stretch. We're trying to keep the spine nice and straight. Make sure all that movement's coming from your hips. This movement or stretch you shouldn't feel in your knee at all, and if you do, I want you to slide that ankle up off the side. That's going to unwind the tibia from the knee, okay? You can always take a yoga block and you can place that under your knee as well to help with the angle. Okay, we're still dropping down, right knee's on top. I want you to try to bring your chest as close to the right knee as you possibly can. And then slide that chest over towards the foot. You can take those hands on the floor and you can push, give yourself a little bit more of a passive stretch. And then come all the way back up to the start. Here's your first mobility challenge for the day. We're jumping right in. You're gonna switch legs without using your hands. Okay, that's your goal. If you can't get there today, that's okay. Still want you to struggle as much as you can, and then when you need to, you can slide that foot up using your hands. Same exact thing on this side. Chest is tall, deep breaths. And I'm gradually making my way down into that glute stretch. Slowly start bringing your chest down towards that top knee on the left side. Let's slide across, chest towards the foot. Use those hands on the floor to push. Let's go back and forth a couple of times. Make your way back up to that starting position. From here, I'm going to take that left leg, I'm going to sweep it all the way around into a shin box position. So lift that left foot as best you can, slide all the way around. Bam. 90 degrees knees, 90 degrees at the hips. All we're going to do here is go right into a body control exercise. Remember, mobility is about controlling your body. You're going to extend your hips up. I want you to try to do this without leaning forward and without pushing up through your hands. But if you have to, you absolutely can push yourself up into extension. Still 90 degrees at the shins, squeezing the glutes. Slowly lower yourself back down. As soon as you get all the way down, lift yourself back up, extend. Slowly lower back down. See how controlled you can move. Back up, we're going for 5, this is 3. Slowly back down. Up for 4. Slowly down. And then bring yourself up for 5. Freeze right here. All right. I'm going to unwind this knee, but I'm going to step through with my left. Okay. From here, I'm going for a right side hip flexor stretch. My knee is right under my hip is right under my shoulder. You're going to take your hips like it's a bowl of water, pour the water out the back. You should already be feeling a stretch in the front of that right leg. Okay. I want you to reach that right hand up to the sky. Now you're a long, straight line from right hand to right knee. Breathing into the belly. We're going to side bend off to the left just a little bit. Starting to feel that big time in the front of my right hip. Big breath. And then start to rotate towards that left knee. Bring the hand back down, return to the start. Now I want you to pour the water out the front of that bowl. Right? You're tipping your hips forward. And then re-tip those hips backward. Push the hip forward just a little bit. I'm starting to feel a big stretch in my right leg. Same exact thing, a little bit more intense. Reach the right hand up. Side bend to the left. Big breath. Small, controlled rotation to the left. Bring the hand back down. Return. Okay, this is going to be pretty challenging. You're going to try to step back into that shin box without touching your hands on the floor. Slow and in control. Left leg comes back. Sit yourself down. Nice work. Okay, I'm just going to shift myself off to the side. And we're going to shin box rotate the other way. Feel free to push your hands into the floor behind you. Feel free to try to do this without using your hands at all. Going into hip extension on the left side shin box. Hands out in front, extend up, squeeze, controlled down. 5 times on your own. Here's 3, 4, and 5. Freeze right there. You're going to step that right leg all the way through. I'm going to shift, so I've got room. Extend up, step through right. Now I'm going left side hip flexor. Left knee is under the hip, hip is under shoulder. Tuck those hips underneath. Reach that left hand to the sky. And rotate and side bend towards the right. Coming back to the start, unwind and tuck those hips forward like you're pouring the water out the front of the bowl. Big breath. Tuck those hips back, stretching the front of that left leg. Push your hips forward just a little bit. Reach that left hand. Long straight line from the left hand to the left knee. Side bend right and rotate. Breathe. Returning to the start and relax. Okay, right now we are in a knee to the ground split stance. Your goal is to do this with your knee as close to the floor as you can without your knee resting on the floor. You can rest your knee on the floor if you need to. Let's bring those hands back behind your head, fingers interlaced, and let's lift that left knee above the floor. You can be all the way up into that tall split if you need to, and as we progress, you're slowly lowering yourself down. Pull those elbows back behind you, squeeze your shoulder blades. Take a big breath. Rotate your chest towards that top knee. Freeze. Take another breath. Slowly lower yourself down a little bit more if you can. Return to the start. Take a breath. We're going to do one more. Rotate. Take another breath. Rotate the tiniest bit farther. Return to the start. Drop the left knee to the floor. And here's where, if you have yoga blocks, they can be helpful. We're going to get into a hamstring stretch. So, knife hand. Chop that hip back. Okay? This is not a spine move, so I should be moving from the hip. Chopping that hip back behind me. I can use my yoga blocks to help keep me more vertical. And breathe. If you have yoga blocks, you can progress them down. And you can always have your hands on the floor if you feel like you can keep your back somewhat straight and not all rounded up like this. Okay, I need a little bit of support to keep my back straight. Pull that toe or the toes back towards your knee, and we're going to start rotating that right leg. So toes go clockwise and then counterclockwise. Nothing else moves. Each rotation, trying to get my foot to rotate a tiny bit farther. I'm making it about to 2 o'clock and 11 o'clock. I want to make sure that I'm getting to 10:30 on this side And 230 on this side. Keep rotating. Last one each way, far as you can. And then we're going to come up, back to kneeling, step that right leg back, bring that left leg up. Okay, now we're going to do our rotations on this side. So let's lift that right knee up. You can get into a high split if you want. Lower yourself as low as you can. Hands are interlaced on the back of your head. Pull the elbows back. Big breath. Rotate left. At the end, freeze, take another breath. And then return to the start. Lower yourself down if you can. One more time. Rotate with the breath out. Slowly return to the start. Drop that right knee. And let's get into that left side hamstring stretch. Chop that hip back. Chop. Use your blocks if you got them. Yoga mat or yoga blocks, foam roller, whatever works. Straighten that left leg as much as you can. Breathe. So if you do this right, your chest shouldn't have to come down very far at all to feel that stretch. Just make sure you're moving at the hip. Once you get there, start to rotate that entire leg, clockwise and counterclockwise. Every rep trying to go a tiny bit farther. Don't do this passively. I want you to actively pull that leg into rotation. All right, everybody, let's return to the start. Ditch the yoga blocks if you're using them. Now, we're going to turn towards the camera. My right leg is bent, my left leg is totally straight. Now, if you had a tail or tail feathers, we're imagining that that tail feather is up to the sky, not between the knees. So keep the tail feathers up. I want you to rock back. So your hips are going back towards that right heel. And then we're going to rotate the same kind of rotation we just did, but in a totally different plane. Foot comes up counterclockwise and then down. Each rep, I'm trying to get a little bit farther. Avoiding compensating with my other hip or my spine. Keep rotating. And last one. Bring that foot in, bring the knee in, and we're switching sides. Left knee is bent, right leg is out to the side. Tail feathers up, shift your weight back, start rotating that right foot. Clockwise and counterclockwise. Each rep getting a little farther. Really want you to force it. I really want you to try to get more range. Use everything available to you. Two more good reps. We are going to make our way into a lateral squat position. So your feet are out super wide. I like to point my toes out a little bit. It helps me get into this position. I'm gonna keep my hands on the floor in the middle. I'm gonna start shifting my weight to my right, bending the right knee, straightening the left leg. Shift your weight off to the left. Straightening the right leg, bending the left leg. And let's shift back. Let's kind of shift back and forth on your own, finding where your hips need the work. Each rep getting a tiny bit farther down. I also want you to make sure that that ankle isn't collapsing in, so you're not flattening your foot out. You're still active through the arch. On this next rep off to the right, I want you to sink down as deep as you can. Move your hands to the right. Adjust your position if you need to, and your goal is to lift those hands up off the floor. If you can't, that's okay. You can always grab onto your yoga blocks to help you. Now we're integrating that rotation with the left hip. Rotating those toes up, sinking deep into that stretch. Another good way to use the yoga block is to radiate tension. Helps you create stability and go a little bit deeper by squeezing the block. Okay, doing whatever you need to. Let's slowly work our way back to the floor with the hands. Shift off to the left. Release your hands from the floor if you can. Rotate that right foot to the sky. Squeeze the block if you have one. Breathe. Make your way back to the center, ditch the block, and let's get down to the knees. Okay, nice work. Shake it out if you've got to. Feeling pretty good. We're gonna start integrating those shoulders, torso, hips a little bit more with a kneeling lean back rotation. What that's gonna look like, my left hand comes back behind my left foot. I'm gonna extend my hips up and through while I reach my right hand back behind me. I like to do this with my thumb on my shoulder. Feel free to reach that hand all the way out. We're trying to make that right side body open up as much as possible, the right front. Return to the start. Let's get 5 reps. 1 per breath. Here's 3. 4, and 5. Extend up, freeze, take an extra breath here. Slowly lower, and let's switch sides, everybody. Right hand comes back behind your right foot. Left thumb to the left shoulder, or reach the hand. Each breath, we're extending the hips up, making a big, long, straight, open line on that left side. 5 reps on your own. Really push that hip forward through. You're trying to touch your belt buckle to the wall. Last one here. Extend up. Take an extra breath. Shift yourself back down, and we're going to bring ourselves into a crab bridge. Back in elementary school playing crab soccer, same position. The farther in this way that your fingertips are, the more difficult it will be for shoulder extension. We are primarily going for shoulder extension back behind you, so you should feel this the most in that shoulder complex. I like to point my fingers slightly away. You can even point your fingers totally back behind you, whatever works for you. Okay? Feet are flat on the floor. Take a breath. Push those hips through like you're trying to touch your belt buckle to the ceiling, but freeze right about here. Anything beyond this is usually low back extension. Trying to avoid that. Tuck those hips like you're bringing your pelvis to your chin, and push your shoulders away from your ears. Right, we're gonna do 5 reps. Down, focus on your shoulders, up. 2, down, up for 3, 4, and 5. We're gonna add an element. If you're feeling good, keep those feet flat. Shift your weight to the left, reach your right hand to the sky. Nice straight line all the way through my arms. We're gonna switch sides each rep. Bring it down, shift up, left hand. Right hand. Left hand, slow and in control. Extend, keep those shoulders away from the ears. Try to control all the way down to gonna do one more each side. Reach right. Reach left. Freeze right here. Okay, if you're feeling really good, we're gonna try to switch to bear position by lifting that right foot, and we're gonna rotate that right foot through all the way until we're in the bear position here. Go ahead and drop your knees. Put your quadruped. All right, so we're gonna switch from bear to crab. So I'm gonna be kind of going around the world. We're gonna do 2 full rotations. The goal is to get as much rotation in the shoulder while keeping tension on that shoulder as possible, okay? It's gonna look like this. Lift the knees, right hand and left foot. Lift, through, and set, okay? We don't need to come into full extension, we can just be right here. Right foot, left hand lift, rotate through. Be in control. Slow, in control. Keep rotating. Keep rotating. We're gonna do one more full rotation for fun. Slow it down, slow it down. See what level of control you can have. Let's go one more each. All the way through, back to the starting position. Drop your knees, and let's shift your hips back on the heels. Some pretty tough stuff, so let's take a little break with a couple of breaths. Last thing we're gonna do is the world's greatest stretch, just 2 times on each side. So let's shift ourselves into a plank. Nice and straight, all the way from head to heel. Bring that right foot up next to your right hand. Drop your right elbow. Rotate your right hand to the sky. Drop the right hand outside your left heel and straighten that leg. 1 rep. Drop the elbow. Rotate up. Hamstring stretch. Hands in the middle, step that right foot back. Bring that left foot up. Right. Nice straight right leg. Drop your left elbow. Rotate up. Hamstring stretch. There's 1. 1 more. Boom. Bring the knee to the floor. Step the left leg back. Shift your hips down to your heels. We take a couple of deep breaths and then we're all done. Big breath in through the nose. Let it all out. Big breath in through the nose, into the belly. One more big breath. Let it all out. That, my friends, is mobility class. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too hard, and I hope it wasn't too easy. So feel free to like this video and subscribe and check out our other mobility classes. We've got lots of other awesome content. Thanks for coming, everybody. Until next time.